time, I'm Pastor Pope, and thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environment. We are here with you, broadcasting live from the FijiWater.com sponsored studio every Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, scheduling permitted, to address whatever topics you might like to discuss and whatever issues of life you find challenging or that you find difficult to navigate. We are here for you to discuss careers, finances, entrepreneurship. You can discuss marriage, divorce, raising children, blending families. You can discuss dating and relationships. Whatever's in your heart, whatever's on your mind, God is concerned about that which concerns you. So we are here in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, which is brought to you daily by Fiji Water, Earth's finest water. You may already know that Fiji water comes from Fiji. However, did you know that it is created by nature? It is untouched by man. It starts as a tropical rainfall which slowly filters through layers of volcanic rock, where the water collects in a natural, sustainable artesian aquifer, where it is bottled right at the source, free from human contact until you unscrew the blue cap. Fiji Water, Earth's finest water, will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery. And you'll save money at FijiWater.com. This is not just water. This is Fiji Water at FijiWater.com. And for those of you who continue giving on the Give segment of our app at New Life-Delaware to support the broadcast, and those of you that have made a weekly or monthly commitment to support the broadcast by giving on the contribution pages of our websites at newlifeministriesinternational.com and newlifeinternationalcdc.com. We thank you for your support and your commitment as we fulfill our commitment to God to be here for you in 3D, the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So I want to say to all of our listeners and viewers, we are Facebook Live, we are YouTube Live, and we are RadioFreeNetwork.com Live. You can go to RadioFreeNetwork.com, click on radio, the drop box will appear, click on the New Life link, and every broadcast will be available to you Monday through Friday from 12:30 p.m. until 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and for the Sunday sermon at 10:45 a.m. every Sunday at New Life Christian Center, 400 Hillcrest Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware, 19809. And if you're in our area, we invite you to come and worship with us every Sunday. Service begins at 10 a.m. And if you're not in our area, you can still experience a better quality of life by tuning in live for the Sunday sermon at New Life Christian Center hyphen Pastor Pope on our YouTube channels and on all of the platforms that we have available for our listeners and viewers. I'm going to address a communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers, and I always begin by saying to God be the glory when someone communicates and says they've been listening to the broadcast, and you said you've been listening ongoing and applying everything that you have heard to your daily life, both personally and professionally. And you said that you are really feeling good about your personal and professional success this year. However, what can you do for the coming year is what you want to know. What can you do to ensure that you continue moving forward? I get it. You know, when you accomplish success in any area of your life, personally and professionally, or even both, when you accomplish success, you're always looking for ways to, or you should be looking for ways to not only maintain the success, but maximize the success. So as I said, I'm going to start by saying, to God be the glory. We thank you for tuning in and for allowing us to come into your viewing environment so that we can fulfill God's will to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to maximize their success and experience the fullness of God in their lives. So now that I've said that, I'm going to begin by saying this. So you have to say, thus far, what you've learned by viewing the Daily Divine Direction broadcast, you haven't just been a hearer of the word, but you've been a doer of the word. And there's a scripture that tells us to do exactly that. Don't just hear it, but to apply it. And that's what you've been doing. And now what you have to do, because we're in the last quarter of this year, And this is the perfect time. You know, I've been telling everyone in our church and those who have been tuned in to the Daily Divine Direction broadcast that we don't wait until the new year comes, as many people do, to make resolutions for what we're going to do in the new year. We begin the last quarter of the year preparing for the coming year. So this is the perfect time for you to really drive forward the initiatives that you've begun in your personal and professional life this year, to drive them forward in the coming year. So what I'm going to encourage you to do, and it's very simple, is that you want to really outline what you have accomplished this year, both personally and professionally. What have you accomplished? Outline that. And what you accomplished personally and professionally in the first quarter, what you accomplished personally and professionally in the second quarter, what you accomplished personally and professionally in the third quarter, and what you are doing to finish this year strong. So, and I always like to tell everyone, select 3 bullet points. What did you accomplish personally and professionally? 3 bullet points in the first quarter of the year. What did you accomplish both personally and professionally? 3 bullet points for the second quarter of the year. 3 bullet points for your personal accomplishments. 3 bullet points for your professional accomplishments in the first quarter. And then do the same thing for the second quarter and for the third quarter. And you might say, well, Pastor, why is it that you always say 3 bullet points? And the reason is this. Because we have 4 quarters in every year. 3 bullet points in the first quarter for your personal and your professional success. 3 bullet points in the second quarter for both personal and professional success leads to you having accomplished 12 things, both personally and professionally, throughout the course of the year. They don't have to be huge things each quarter. They can be small accomplishments. But we do that so that we can gauge our progress throughout the year and what we've accomplished by the end of the year. So the goal is to accomplish 12 things, both personally and professionally, throughout the year. And then when you look at what you've accomplished, you can then determine what you want to accomplish, and we all should have written our 7-year plan by now, what you want to accomplish. And the reason you should have is because we've been on the air for 4 years with the Daily Divine Direction broadcast. So what have you accomplished so that you can gauge what you want to achieve in the coming year and begin to develop a strategic implementation plan for the coming year. So that is going to give you the opportunity to determine the 12 things that you've accomplished. And you may build on those. So something you accomplished in the second quarter of this year may have been a small accomplishment personally or professionally. You may want to build on that for the coming year. And that's okay, because it's all about making progress. The one thing we don't want to do is become complacent with our successes. We don't want to become stagnant and accomplish nothing. Every year should be about accomplishing something. Every year should be about making accomplishments in our personal life and in our professional life. If we're doing that, we're continuing to grow. And when we don't continue to grow, we die off. We become spiritually dead. We become physically immobile. We don't want to ever get to a place where we are so complacent with our success that we think we have arrived, that we have accomplished everything that we're going to accomplish in life. Because there's always another level to go in God. What we want to do along the way, and I often talk about this, is that stairway to heaven. We're all climbing the stairway to heaven. Every year, every month, every day, we are climbing the stairway to heaven. And what we don't want to do is get to one step on the stairway and stop, because we all want to get to heaven. Okay, so it's the same thing about life. We don't ever want to get on the stairwell and decide we just don't want to go any further because we like the height that we have arrived. You know, we want to get to the observation plateau. We want to get to heaven where we can observe. We want to really, experience the fullness of God along the way. And you're doing a great job. You said in your communication, you know, the successes that you've been having by applying things to your daily life. And that's what the scripture really means to us when it says, don't just be a hearer of the word, but a doer of the word. So we're giving everyone a place where you can go every single day, Monday through Friday, to hear from God and receive daily divine direction. You're getting divine direction, because I'm not speaking anything of my own, just what God is speaking to me is what I speak to you. So you have the opportunity to receive that direction, and everyone gets to decide if you're just going to hear it today or if you're going to take the information and apply it to our daily lives. And that's the same thing we do with the scriptures, is find ways to apply it to our daily lives. So, as I said, to God be the glory. We thank you for tuning in, but we thank you for allowing us to come into your viewing environment and speak to you in a way that you've now had this year of success that has been very pleasing to you. But it hasn't just been successful because you've been sitting and just listening. It's been because you've been applying the information to your daily life. The good news is this is just the beginning. It's just the beginning of what God is going to do in your life, because you've made the commitment to apply what you've heard, the daily divine direction, to your daily life. Now we're going to build on that. So for all of our listeners and viewers, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this communication and we're going to apply it to our daily lives. So for every one of us, we're not just going to hear what we hear on the daily divine direction. We're going to apply it to our daily lives. And we're going to do that by taking the information and determining how we can accomplish more every single day, how we can build on our successes, how we can experience the fullness of God. And we're going to do that by making certain that everything we hear on the broadcast, determine everyone's life may be different, but the information is something that we can apply. And then we're going to develop a strategic implementation plan to execute in the coming year. So what 3 things do you want to accomplish personally in the first quarter? What 3 things do you want to accomplish professionally in the first quarter? And we're going to do that for the second quarter, and for the third quarter, and the fourth quarter of next year. You already should have your 7-year plan. You should know what you want to accomplish in the coming year. And now you're just going to develop those bullet points for execution. Because it's one thing to have a plan, but you have to work the plan and then execute. And so I'm going to encourage us all. Let's make this coming year together. The coming year, not the remainder of this year, because we know what we're trying to accomplish for the remainder of this year. What are we going to accomplish both personally and professionally. What 12 things are we going to accomplish in the coming year? And watch this. You don't eat an elephant whole. You one bite at a time. So 3 things you want to accomplish the first quarter personally, 3 things you want to accomplish the first quarter professionally, and then 3 things for personally for the second quarter, 3 things professionally for the second quarter, 3 things personally for the third quarter, 3 things, bullet points for the third quarter professionally, and then the same thing to close out the year next year. And we're going to really be able to see the progress that we are making. See, we have a 7-year plan for this broadcast, and we're only in year 4. So there are things that need to be accomplished moving forward. I trust God that His will be done, but we have to work the plan and we have to execute. So it's no different in your personal and professional life. You've got to know what you're planning to accomplish, develop that strategic implementation plan, and execute in the coming year. Again, to God be the glory, to our listener and viewer who has experienced success this year, and you contribute that to being a part of this broadcast. And we've received that praise report from other listeners and viewers, so I'm thankful to God for the move of God in all of our lives. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G network. If you're not currently a T-Mobile customer, you may call or text on the T-Mobile call or text line at 267-992-1424. We will place you into our queue so that you may become a T-Mobile customer and experience America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. Taxes and fees are included in your bill, and if you auto pay by attaching a credit card to your account, you will receive a discount on your monthly bill at T-Mobile, America's largest, fastest, and most reliable 5G provider at no extra charge. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you are looking for the opportunity to become a business owner. You want to be an entrepreneur. However, you are not certain what business you want to pursue, and you want to know how do you make that decision. So, this is a very interesting question because many of our listeners and viewers want to be entrepreneurs. They want to be business owners. And, we've talked about going through that process, the right reasons for going into business and the perfect personality for going into business. We talked about some of those aspects. This is a really good question for a lot of our listeners and viewers because one of the mistakes that people often make is that they think when you go into business, you should have a passion for the business that you're going into. And that's not necessarily the case. That certainly isn't the first thing to consider when you go into business. That's the first thing to consider when you are an innovator or you are a creator or designer. Passion is going to be important. But the first thing you should always consider when you want to go into business is what the business that you're going to pursue, is it going to address the public need? Because you need consumers to increase the growth of your business. Growth and retention. You need consumers, clients, whatever the case may be, but you need people to buy into your business and to financially support your business by purchasing your products, goods, or services. So the first and foremost important factor of selecting what business you want to go into, what business you want to pursue as an entrepreneur is to determine the public need. And then the second thing is you have to have a passion for business, not a passion for I want to go into this business because I'm passionate about making widgets. That's not, if the public doesn't need widgets, you can't sell widgets. But the reason I'm saying it as an analogy is that you've got to have a passion for business. You have to have a passion for wanting to get up every day and pursue the growth of your business and the retention of your customers. You have to have a passion for being willing to have other people depend on you, because if you open a business that is open to the public, you're eventually going to have employees that you will need to support your business and support your customers. Customer service. So you have to have a passion for managing other people. You have to have a passion for making certain that you're willing to assume the responsibility of other people's livelihood, their financial success. You have to have a passion for that. You have to have a passion for people to be a good entrepreneur. And the reason is because, and don't get me wrong, you don't have to like all of your customers, but you have to service them. Because some people can be difficult to deal with. Business is difficult if you don't go into business with the right strategy in mind. Part of that strategy has to be, you've got to address a public need, offer a public service, goods to the public, or service clients. Business is ever evolving, and there's going to be a lot of moving parts. So you have to have, first of all, understand that whatever business you're going to go into has to address that public need. And then you have to have a passion for serving your customer base, being responsible for going into business. Let me tell you, the biggest mistake that people make is to go into business because they don't want to work for someone else. If you go into business, if you want to go into business because you don't want to work for someone else, you need to be working for someone else. And let me tell you the reason that I use that analogy. You're going into business for the wrong reason, because you may own the business, but you're still working for someone else. You're working for your customer. You're working for your employees. So you don't ever want to go into business because you don't want to work for someone else. The next factor you have to take into consideration is that when you hire employees, when you hire contractors, all of those people are going to be depending on you to get out of bed every single day and give 100% of the time. Again, the wrong reason for going into business is because I want to have my own time, make my own schedule, and I want to be able to go on vacation whenever I want to go on vacation. Because that's not the reality of being an entrepreneur. That's not the reality of owning a business. Those opportunities will present themselves, but those aren't the reasons for going into business. I'll use franchising for example, because even though I didn't start off that way, in part of your communication you talked about should you be looking at franchising. I'll give you a prime example of that. Franchise, when you go into a franchise business, they have annual events that they will gather all of their franchisees. In most cases, they will gather their franchisees and they will have a meeting for a week where the franchisees can maybe win awards or win trips or whatever the case may be. But it also gives you time to be away from the business, to share best practices with your peers. There are times that you can get away, but it can't be the reason for going into business that I just want to be able to take time off when I want to take time off, because it doesn't work that way. You're always on. You're the responsible party. So you have to make certain that you are making your decision based on these particulars, and I just ran through a few of them, these particular points. Franchising is good if you select the right franchise. Opening your own your own business enterprise based on a product that you feel is a good product that meets a public need. That's fine. But it's all that leads up to going into business that makes the difference on whether or not your business is going to be successful. You know, there are businesses and business models that you might look at and say, I don't know how that continues to thrive. But it's thriving because the owner has the right state of mind, the right philosophy for business, and understands the method of pushing the business forward. And what I mean by that is getting up every day, giving 100% of the time, and finding new ways to add to the offerings of their company. You know, some businesses are really good. They may have a Me Too product, but they may be better at customer service. So they may offer their services at a higher price. They may offer their services at a lower price. But at the end of the day, if their service is the best service, they're going to retain their customers. So entrepreneurship has to be thought out. Being a business owner has to be thought out carefully. And you have to be willing to consistently think about the next method of being successful in your business, because business is ever evolving. This segment of the broadcast is brought to you by Charles Tyrwhitt, located in London, the UK. They also have stores in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and at the King of Prussia Mall in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. So if you're in any of those areas, stop in at their retail stores. They have everything a man could possibly need: shirts for men, ties for men, suits for men, and accessories. If you're not in any of those areas, you can order from Charles Tyrwhitt at ctshirts.com. They will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. And the White Company, located in London, the UK. They also have a store on Fifth Avenue in New York. If you're in New York, stop in at their retail store. They have everything you could possibly need: home goods, clothing for men, women, and children. If you're not in New York, you can order from The White Company at thewhitecompany.com. They too will ship and deliver right to your front door in an appropriate period of time. I'm going to address another communication that came in from one of our listeners and viewers who indicated that you feel that you've been taken advantage of by, or taken for granted by, your family members. And you want to know, how do you make them understand that you feel this way, that you feel like you've been taken for granted? So let me just say this. This is a real simple process. It doesn't require that you make an announcement. What it requires you to do is teach people how to treat you. If you feel that you've been taken for granted, don't allow people to take you for granted. You know, the one simple method of teaching people how to treat you is just say no. You know, you gotta, and that's a learning process. You know, you gotta learn that over time, and the way that you learn that over time is to repeatedly say no. So, in other words, every time, and God allowed me to see in that secret place of your life, just bear with me as I share this with you. Every time, because this is your strategic implementation model. Every time that someone calls you and asks you to do something in the coming year, for the entire year, just say no. Sometimes you may just have to say no. It's just a simple word. Sometimes you may want to say it a little more diplomatically. In other words, I'm not available to do that, or I'm not going to have the opportunity to do that, but just say no for the entire year. If you do that over the entire year, you will get into a place where you're able to then distinguish when you want to say no and when you want to say yes. But don't do that until you've learned that process the entire year. And you will find that you will be, and let me take you one step further than that. Chart out everything someone asks you to do for the entire year. You know, charts and graphs, data is important. Chart everything that someone asks you to do over the next year that you say no to. And after you write down what they've said or type in what they've said, put no or your explanation behind it. And chart that out for the entire year next year. You're going to find you'll have a better quality of life. Today's Daily Divine Direction broadcast 3D has been brought to you by Fiji Water. A taste of paradise will be delivered right to your front door when you subscribe for delivery, and you'll save money at FijiWater.com. May God bless you today. May God keep his face turned towards you. May God give you peace that surpasses all understanding. Have a great day today. I look forward to being in your viewing environment tomorrow. Remember,